Good morning and welcome to a review that will be just a tiny bit different from my normal reviews. So normally it's one book, one review, this one isn't. Normally it's a book and this one isn't. For the regular viewers of this channel, you'll have noticed that I do have quite a few graphic novels, trade paperbacks and comics. I don't review them often. I think I've done one in the last 2 years, and the reason for that is, to my way of thinking, to make a good comic or a good graphic novel, you need more elements than you need in a book. So if I'm reviewing a book, let's say a book, we've got the cover art, which in this case is not a lot to say about it, and you've got the actual novel, the writing, the characters, the dialogue, all those sorts of novel-y type things. With the trade paperback, you've got a lot more. And without the graphics, without the artwork, it isn't itself. Now, since I have yet to figure out that thing where you post cute little thumbnails in the corner of the screen, I've never reviewed them. For this review, I'm going to try and do that, and by now you should see if I have succeeded. I'm not holding my breath for that one, honestly. Okay, so with graphic novels, you do have some ones like the amazing Ted Naif, Courtney Crummer and The Night Things Be Still My Heart, who he is both the writer and the artist, and I believe he does the lettering as well. His graphic novels are amazing, and I adore them beyond measure, but he's rare. Most graphic novels are the author or the writer. He sends his details and some of the imagery he has of what the characters look like, what they're doing, what the background is, to the person who does the outline. That outline then often goes to the inker who does the ink, and then you've got the letter as well. So it's a team that creates your graphic novel. The movie Chasing Amy actually went into the different elements quite a lot and in a great way. I'd never really thought of it before until I'd seen Chasing Amy. My background with comics comes and goes. So as a child, I loved comics, of course. All children love comics, I think. Then I went through a phase where I wasn't that keen on them. There were too many biffs, bops, big zam, kapow, kawow things. And they didn't really stimulate my imagination or my artist's eye very much. So I had a bit of a gap. I had a few comics that I really loved, but they were aimed at an adult audience, and a couple of them were in French and German, so I couldn't actually get the story, but I loved the artwork. And then I moved away from them. When I was at uni, I discovered that comics had expanded in my absence. You had all these amazing stories with fairy tale retellings and complex characters, examining social aspects and some amazing artwork. So I went back. About 10 years ago, actually probably a bit more now because I'm old, it seemed to me that a lot of the graphics were being taken over by computer graphics, and they lost that artistic pizzazz for me, so I started drifting away. Also, some of the greats of the game just weren't playing anymore, and the stories started to become repetitive, so I moved away. But every now and then, I will go to the library and I will see a whole lot on the shelf that I haven't seen before, and I will pick up a pile, do some weightlifting, get them all home and go through them. So what I'm showing you today is 4 different graphic novels that I just got from the library and what I think of them. Okay, so number 1, 3 out of 5, is the Matriarchs. This is a Dark Horse Books hardcover, and Dark Horse was one of my go-tos back in the day. It's got an interesting premise. So it starts off with, it's a very sexy, very nice book. It looks attractive. It's visually presentable. The script is by Luann Brickhouse and Jennifer Rea. I gather that Jennifer Rea is the prime writer because her name comes first on the book. I assume it's a her. We've got art by Renee DeLiz, colours by Lauren Aff, letters by Frank Svetkovic, and cover by Lynn Yoshi. So what you've got is one of those classic Dark Horse books where a whole team has worked together to present something that is very attractive. Now, this book starts off with two female protagonists who are going into a jail. We learn that they are researchers, and we slowly learn that they are researchers and that they are part of this immortal female team or women who are researching male aggression and how to get it out of the human race. Now, I'm sure that to the people writing this was a vibrant new concept. To me, less so. I've encountered it before. And I've never believed in it. I've seen plenty of very aggressive women, and I've seen plenty that are really, really good fighters. So this idea that aggression in the human race is a male characteristic is one that I totally fail to ship. And I just, every time it comes up again, it's like, oh, really? Do we have to? However, it's a pretty enough book. These immortal matriarchal women, of course, have their very own notion of how every strong woman, female, etc., in history was part of their organisation. Yada yada, they've got the whole thing happening. Because it's all women, you've got some excellent opportunities to do good graphic artwork, lots of costumes, etc., etc. And because it's a Dark Horse publication, the artwork is consistently good. Not necessarily inspired. I find the colours are at times a bit dull. This scene, for example, could be very vibrant, but instead it is generally washed out. There is a washed out characteristic to quite a bit of the colouring, in my opinion. No offence, guys, just telling it like I see it. But the story is good, the artwork is good. 3 out of 3. I have no objections to it whatsoever. If it fails to innovate in any real way, it still satisfies the comic reader in me in the fact of it's got slightly unusual paneling, acceptable use of warm versus cool colours. It's got all the things that I always liked in comics when I was most into them. Of course, all women in history were part of the immortal sisterhood is a bit funny, but you know. 3 out of 5 stars. Sure, I have no regrets. For my next one, we have got The Broken Frontier Anthology. And it's an anthology. It contains 20 different stories by different artists and writers. It really made me understand how long I've been out of the game, because at one stage, if I picked up an anthology, I would have recognised, if not most, then a good half of the names involved. Here, I think I recognised 1 or 2, but certainly not more than that. And I'm not going to lie, the cover art was part of why I picked it up in the first case, because this cover art is just beautiful. I think that is a spectacular picture, and I would easily hang that on my wall if I had it available. Cover art is by Robbie Rodriguez. Nicely done, Robbie. Nicely done. The editors for this volume are Frederik, Hautain and Tyler Chintana. I may have heard of one of them, but I'm not entirely sure. So here is our list of contents. Yes, you can see that. There's a lot of them. And as with any anthology, they're very variable. So going back to what I was saying about how good comic, trade paperback, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, has all these different elements. The Wave by Robert Samelin is a prime example of beautiful artwork. The artwork is stunning. It is spectacular. I read it over and over again because the artwork is just so amazing. We've got this female protagonist riding a motorcycle over these desert wastes. There's a wrecked aeroplane. Holding this up to the camera totally fails to give you a good estimate of the detail and the beauty of this artwork. It looks very much like watercolor. I expect it's not storyboarded. I expect it's just computer graphics. It's gorgeous. There is not one word written in it, and I've got no idea what the story is meant to be. Do I really care when you get panels like this? Yes and no. I do expect some sort of a story, and worse, I feel like the writer-author thought that he was telling a story. So, Robert Samelin, I feel like there was a story there, I just have no idea what it was. And that's the one from this compilation that I've read most often. I still have no idea what he was saying with it. Following the Wave, we've got The Wall. It's an example of the opposite side. This one, the script is by Tyler Chintana, who was also one of the compilers. Art by Toby Cypress, and letters by Tom Mauer. So again, a compilation of different talents. So we've got some sort of mining community of something I can't pronounce. They're mining some element that doesn't exist. They can't process it themselves. They're entirely reliant on it being processed by someone else. Good, solid story, as one would expect. The writing is perhaps a bit archaic, but if you like the artwork, you will like this. I didn't hate the artwork. I didn't love it. There was a bit too much pink and purple. The writing was too archaic. This was an example of where there is a story let down by the artwork. I didn't understand the artwork. I didn't understand the way the art and the story work together. For example, we've got panels like this, with this woman with a sword the size of my entire apartment block. I don't know if that's meant to be real or hypothetical or a viewpoint. But worst of all, our rebels have conquered the bad guys who are in charge of them. They have fought through. No one but the blah 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 may set foot on our sacred ground. We just amended your policy. Yeah. Didn't Mel Gibson do that in that movie? What was it? Your diplomatic immunity has been revoked. Whatever. Anyway, so they will. Time to see for ourselves what exactly you've been hiding over here. And down they walk down the stairs, and we get one really beautiful panel of looking, and then we get this hot mess. Now, no offence to the artist, but to me that looks like it was drawn in crayons by a 3-year-old. No criticism. Some 3-year-olds do amazing crayon art, but I don't know what it's meant to mean. And then probably the 3-year-old may have vomited at their Fruit Loop breakfast over it. I don't know. This is meant to be the expose and the finale of the story, and I've got no idea what it's meant to represent, and I resent that. This one also, I've read a couple of times, trying to figure out what it was getting at with a complete lack of success. Anyhow, this video is blowing out into rather a long one. What else have we got? We've got several that have got art with no story, like The Wave. We've got several who've got story with art that doesn't help tell it, like The Wall. We've got more traditional ones like the Phantom Limb Ghost Puncher, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's traditional comic book art. It's got a to-be-continued feeling. It's by Greg Pak, Tom Rainey, colours by Gina Going, letters by Simon Boland. What else? We've got Stranger Than Fiction. That was pretty good. It was a bit of a ghosty type feel. And we've got The Wreck of Versailles. Very, very good sci-fi comic art if you're into that sort of thing. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Then we've got a lot of quirky artwork or one or the other. We've got Quinn Returns, strange artwork with an actual story that I'm not quite sure the punchline is as clear as they think it is, but I didn't mind it. We've got The Legend of Dyson Home. It was so quirky that I actually had no idea what the story was, and I still don't. It looks 100% computer graphics. No offense to the artist if it's not. Anyway, so 20 stories, compilation. If you're into that sort of thing, sure. I think I'd probably give this compilation overall 2 out of 5 stars, purely because there's so many in there that were unenjoyable or just meh, forgettable. If I read something and I've forgotten it by the next day, then surely that doesn't deserve 3 stars. Okay, so next one we have got The Sandman Universe, The Sandman Presents, Nightmare Country, written by James Tynion, IV. Do you really have that many in your family that you need to be an IV? I don't know. Nice cover art, as you'd expect from DC Comics. Good. What's the name of this thing? Stephen from Outlaw Bookseller keeps telling me what this is called, and I keep forgetting. Bad omnivorous reader. Okay, James Tynion the 4th is the writer. Lissandro Saran, a whole heap of artists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artists. and several colorists, and Simon Bowland is the letterer. With the DC Comics, I feel that the letterers are really, really important. They do a great job at highlighting who's speaking in different accents without actually having an accent per se, and as such, there is some great intervening cover art that would have been available on the individual comics when they were being sold. This is a compilation of them. Overall, great book, what you would expect from DC Black Label. It's been a while since I read any of the Sandmans, so I enjoyed it. I never pursued them with the same single-mindedness that I pursued some of the others. You've got some great stories in here. My main criticism would be that DC is leaning too heavily on previous characters and previous themes. So you've got the Corinthian, everyone loves the Corinthian, and he just keeps reappearing and reappearing. This is the new Corinthian that was remade by Morpheus, and they do have a bit of a quirk to his storyline, but it is still the Corinthian. And we do have in the final story Thessaly, who keeps materializing. Every time she's redrawn, she looks less and less like the Greek mythic figure that she started out with. Here she's got slender green eyes, a narrow, very Anglo face, and pale brown hair. I don't know. I guess these are all by now archival figures and everyone can see them and represent them the way they like. So they're good stories, but certainly the ending did feel like very much a to be continued. And will I continue? Well, that entirely depends on whether I can find it in the library or not. I do always like these Sandman Presents ones. But now, for the pick of the crop, number 4. The Last Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh by Jamison, Odone, I think. Now this one is a marvellous. It's 5 out of 5, possibly 10 out of 5. Beautiful book. It is very accurate to the Van Gogh story, of which I have read many books. Actually, I'm probably one of the standouts. I went to Amsterdam. I didn't go to a single cafe to smoke or eat hash, but I did spend one whole day at the Vincent van Gogh Museum, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I've read so much about him, and can I just say, Jamison Odone did a marvellous job, not only of using real life information about Vincent van Gogh, all of which is credited here in the back, in the bibliography at the back, but in interpreting the Van Gogh in a process. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if this is really how Van Gogh thought or felt, but it's very consistent with all his letters to his brother. It's very consistent with what we know about him from the writings of the innkeeper's daughter in his last days, and from what we know of the time he spent in a mental asylum. So, marvellous story, well told. The artwork, I'm going to guess this is computer graphics as well, but I really don't care. It does such a beautiful job of complementing and a tribute to Van Gogh work without trying to just replicate it. This panel here, Van Gogh's in the asylum and he's staring out at the starry night. And there are these little stories about his inner world and how he related to people, which are very consistent with what we know about him, what little we know about him. He was in many ways a very humble man, and he obviously was disturbed. And the ending is pure tribute to an amazing talent. These are the panels from after he dies. So yes, The Last Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, I absolutely love this. I have got nothing at all to criticise about it. I will in fact do my best to find it and buy it, because this will be a wonderful addition to my various Vincent van Gogh books that I own. It is from 2020, so being about 5 years old, I think I'll be very lucky to find it, but I will do my best. I will be going to Melbourne shortly, which is where I rediscovered comics. You never know. If the Minotaur's still there, maybe this is in it. Okay, this was a very long story of trade paperbacks from the library. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching, if you're not, I really don't blame you. And have a great day, read good books, and maybe some of them will be graphic novels, because many of them are very, very good books. Bye.